There are buildings that were constructed to represent power, wealth, and high status.
Mansions built in the middle of dense forests, palaces standing on the edge of cliffs, private castles surrounded by legends, and ancient properties where time seems to be trapped within their walls. For many years, some of these places have been home to aristocratic families, eccentric businessmen, wealthy travelers, and people who left behind unforgettable stories. But as time passed, former luxury was replaced by neglect, leaving the rooms empty. Plants overtook the gardens, and the halls that were once full of life began to fill with whispers, silence, and dark stories. In this video, we will explore the 10 most mysterious abandoned mansions in the world. From an unfinished building in Malaysia surrounded by tunnels and rumored apparitions, to a Mexican hacienda linked to hidden treasures, an old hotel in Colombia hanging over a waterfall, and a mansion in Italy shrouded in one of the strangest legends in Europe. But before we begin, if you're new to our channel, please click the subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so you'll always be updated with our latest videos. Kelly Castle, Malaysia. Outside Batu Gajah, in the state of Perak, Malaysia, stands a castle that was never finished. It was built by William Kelly Smith, a Scottish engineer who amassed great wealth from rubber and tin mining after many years of hard work. It was unlike the homes of other British landowners in the colony. In 1915, for his newborn child, he began to build the most ambitious residence in the entire region. It had 14 rooms, an underground wine cellar, a rooftop tennis court, and a network of secret passageways. According to the original plan, these passageways were supposed to connect the mansion to a village, a nearby Hindu temple, and an escape route that, to this day, no one has ever found. In 1926, Kelly Smith traveled to Lisbon. According to official records, he went there to pick up an elevator, but according to others, he was actually going there to meet his wife.
There is another lesser-known version that says he was secretly negotiating for a concession in East Timor.
He passed away there due to pneumonia, and with him, any certainty about his true motives disappeared. Since then, his widow never set foot in the castle again. Now, guides and visitors say they see his silhouette in the window on the second floor, as if still waiting for the elevator that was never installed.
Hacienda Cascantla, Mexico, in the municipality of Aljuhuca, Puebla, at the foot of 3 volcanic craters, you can find the remaining parts of Hacienda Cascantla. Its construction began in 1702 under the leadership of a Jesuit priest, and later it came under the care of Franciscan priests who lived here until the time of the Mexican Revolution. But it is not its Baroque architecture that keeps the hacienda alive in people's memories, but rather a legend that has been told and retold for many generations. It is said that a priest made a secret pact one night, cut ordinary paper into the shape of coins, and with a black cat as his companion, he was able to turn them into gold before sunrise. Upon his passing, he left behind a treasure guarded by a mysterious guardian. This guardian offers only 2 choices to anyone who dares to approach. Anyone who asks for everything is said to never be able to leave again. The legend took an unexpected turn in 1920, when President Venustiano Carranza, while fleeing to Veracruz, was said to have hidden a portion of the national treasure in the area after his train was derailed. After a few years, a military expedition dug trenches in the ground to search for the gold, but they found nothing, and a landslide claimed the life of one of the soldiers. Since then, no one has ever tried to search again. Piders Castle, Ukraine. 90 kilometers from Lviv, in western Ukraine,
stands a castle shaped like a palace that was built from 1635 to 1640 for a powerful Polish hetman. It was built as a place for him to rest, but its history was never peaceful. It was repeatedly attacked throughout history. The Cossacks, Tatars, and Turks tried, but they were never able to breach the castle because of its moat, strong walls, and cannons. After several centuries, one of its owners, Severin Rybuski, became fascinated with alchemy and the search for treasure. He sold off a large part of his family's wealth while searching for a way to turn various metals into gold. In the end, his wealth was depleted and ruined because of this attempt. From that time, a legend began that is still told in their village today. It is said that the young wife of a former lord of the castle was imprisoned for life within its walls by order of her jealous husband. Some say that even now, her spirit still roams the halls and gardens. But the greatest blow suffered by the castle was not the legend, but its true history. It was looted by Russian soldiers during the First World War. It was turned into a sanatorium for tuberculosis patients during the Soviet era and was completely devastated by a fire in 1956 that lasted for 3 weeks. The castle survived all the empires that occupied the territory where it stands. The empires are gone, but the castle still stands. Tekendama Mansion, Colombia. 1 hour from Bogota, on top of a 157-meter cliff where the Bogota River falls, a French-style mansion was built in 1923. Its name, Tekendama, comes from the Chibcha language and means the one that falls down. For the Muisca, that waterfall was already a sacred place even before the first stone of the mansion was laid. Eventually, it was turned into a hotel for the wealthy people of Bogota. But it only operated for a few decades before it finally closed and was abandoned in 1980. That's where its legend began. It is said that many heartbroken lovers jumped from the observation deck and ended their lives. And it is said that their souls still wandered the empty hallways. In 1986, a group tried to burn down the building to cleanse it and drive away the spirits said to remain there. The very foundation that now manages the place as a museum clarifies this. The house never had a direct path to the cliff. The legend grew on its own, fueled by 30 years of neglect and thick fog. Hamilton Palace, United Kingdom near Oxfield, in the county of East Sussex in England, there is a dense forest that hides a mansion even larger than Buckingham Palace. Its construction began in 1985 with a budget of over £40 million. It was built by Nicholas van Hoogstraten, one of the wealthiest and most controversial people in the United Kingdom. At the age of 22, he already owned more than 300 properties. Eventually, his properties reached over 2,000. But after 4 decades, still no one lives in Hamilton Palace. Construction stopped more than 20 years ago. And now, the owner lives in Zimbabwe, and entry to the place is strictly prohibited. It is surrounded by fences, cameras, and guards who play music as a warning to anyone who comes near. The neighbors call it the Haunted House of Sussex, and it is said to have become a place for trespassers and illegal activities. Van Hoogstraten had previously been convicted for threatening a man who owed him money, for using a grenade, and also in a case related to the killing of a rival in the real estate business. Eventually, that conviction was overturned. He never fully explained why he abandoned this massive project. The only thing he says is that he built the building to last up to 2,000 years. Sweetwater Mansion, United States in Florence, Alabama, a Georgian-style mansion built in 1830. In 1935, it hides a room in the basement with no door. It can only be seen from a window outside, and to this day, no one knows what it was really built for. According to local legend, Billy Patton, the son of a governor of Alabama who was killed at the Battle of Shiloh in 1862, was buried there. It is said that his mother was so deeply hurt that she refused to have him buried in the usual way and instead hid his body in that sealed room. Later on, a caretaker claimed to have seen a coffin suddenly appear in the living room containing a Confederate soldier.
There are also reports of objects moving on their own, whispers, and the sound of children laughing even though no children are there.
The mansion, which is now in ruins, was also featured in a television investigation in 2011. The cameras recorded a door moving even though no one was near it.
Lennox Castle,
Scotland?
19 kilometers from Glasgow.
A castle built in the 1830s for a Scottish aristocratic, which later had a darker history. A century later, it became the largest psychiatric hospital in the entire United Kingdom.
In 1936, there were about 100 patients. The residents here had intellectual disabilities.
They were confined in separate wards for men and women inside an institution that was once proudly considered a model of modern care. But that wasn't the reality. A medical study in 1989 found that 1 out of every 4 patients was suffering from severe malnutrition.
Later on, former patients also reported harsh punishments. The hospital closed in 2002.
In 2008, a fire left the castle in the tragic state that can be seen today. Just a few meters away, Celtic Glasgow built their training center. And most likely, many of their players have no idea about the dark history that took place in the area so close to their daily training ground. Loftus Hall, Ireland on Hook Peninsula, Ireland, there is an old mansion shrouded in one of the country's most famous legends. In 1775, a ship was stranded on the coast due to a strong storm. The only survivor made it to Loftus Hall to seek shelter. He stayed there for several weeks and gradually won over the whole family, especially the young Anne Tottenham. One night, while they were playing cards, Anne dropped a card. When she bent down to pick it up, she noticed something strange about their guest. He had feet that looked like animal claws instead of normal human feet. Anne screamed. Suddenly, the guest changed form and turned into a ball of fire before shooting out through the roof.
It left a hole in the roof that, according to legend, was never completely repaired.
Anne lost her sanity, stopped eating, and passed away locked in her room. Because her body reportedly stiffened, she had to be buried sitting up. But there is a lesser-known version of the story. She may have gotten pregnant by a mysterious stranger, and it's possible that her family just made up a story to cover up a scandal.
Bannerman Castle,
United States, in the middle of the Hudson River. 50 kilometers north of New York, there is an island that has long been considered an important place by the native inhabitants before the arrival of the Europeans. It is called Poyapel. During the American Revolutionary War, the colonists planted iron stakes around the island to slow down the passage of British ships. No one wanted to live there. No one lived there. Until Francis Bannerman VI arrived, a Scottish businessman who built the largest military surplus business in the world. He bought 90% of the weapons that were confiscated after the Spanish-American War, so he needed a secluded place where he could store millions of bullets. So he built an entire Scottish castle just to store weapons and bullets. His name was displayed on the front of the building, like a huge advertisement, easily seen by passengers on trains passing through the valley. Bannerman passed away in 1918 before he could finish the project. 2 years later, about 200 kilos of gunpowder and bullets exploded in one of the warehouses. The explosion was so powerful that it was felt several kilometers away. It also sent pieces of the wall flying to the other side of the river. Since then, it was never regularly inhabited again. Now, only the walls remain. The silence now holds the place that once housed a massive arsenal. Villa de Vecchi, Italy, on the shores of Lake Como, surrounded by mountains, there is a villa that was supposed to be a quiet and peaceful home. Count Felice de Vecchi had it built in 1854 for his family. The architect never even saw the finished building. He died before the last stone was laid.
Nevertheless, De Vecchi lived there, and for a time his life may have been happy.
But one day, when he came home, everything changed. His wife had been killed, and his daughter, the child he loved the most, was also gone. No trace, no sign, no explanation. For months, he searched the Alps, hoping that his daughter was still alive and that he might find her.
Since then, no one has lived in peace in that place.
It is also said that the occultist Aleister Crowley stayed there in 1920. And on nights that are very quiet, some say you can still hear a broken piano that seems to play by itself. There is something that the silence has never preserved. These 10 mansions, even though only the ruins remain. At Villa de Vecchi, they still say they hear a piano. At Sweetwater, there are footsteps even when no one is walking. And at Loftus Hall, the hole in the ceiling remains, with no one ever able to fully repair it. It's as if something keeps reminding us that something once happened there. Maybe it's just the wind coming in through the broken windows, wood creaking from age, or an imagination running wild in a place that's been uninhabited for so long. Or maybe a part of what happened inside these houses really was left behind. No one has ever proven this. But no one has ever fully proven that it's impossible either. And maybe that's the real reason why we're so drawn to these places. Not because they have the answers, but because they refuse to give them to us.
Which mansion do you think is the most mysterious? Let me know in the comments.
If you want to continue exploring places abandoned by time, subscribe to Noel Polo Television, and I'll see you in the next video.